The lesson from the story of Vivian and Hank is that kindness and perseverance can bring hope even in the darkest situations. Let us know where you're watching from. Now, relax and enjoy this amazing story. The rain poured down like an unyielding sheet that night, transforming the village roads into a murky labyrinth. Hank returned home after closing the bookstore. He hurried along, his head lowered against the sharp wind, when a sound cut through the storm, stopping him cold. It was a cry, soft, frail, almost lost in the relentless rain. Following the sound of crying, he arrived at an old tree, where a girl around 10 years old was crouched down, shielding two small children, about 2 years old, from the rain. "Please don't come closer. I'm not here to harm you. I just want to help." Vivian looked up at him with wide, tearful eyes. They're my brothers." Seeing the tiny, pale faces of the twins, Gary and Sean tugged at Hank's heart. "You don't have to do this by yourself. Let me help." Vivian's gaze shifted between fear and hope. "Please, help us." Hank picked up one of the twins, cradling the small, chilly body close to his chest. "My house isn't far. Let's get you all warmed up." Vivian tried to stand, but her legs wobbled under her. Every step felt unstable beneath them, but Hank's grip remained firm, guiding them towards safety. Though the distance to Hank's house was short, for Vivian, each moment stretched into a long, uncertain journey. When they finally arrived, he shouldered open the door, revealing a small, cozy room that seemed a world away from the chilly night outside. The warmth from the fireplace instantly wrapped around them, a stark relief from the cold outside. Vivian nearly sank to the floor as the comforting heat filled her with a sense of safety she hadn't felt in days. Vivian sat down beside the twins, looking over at Hank with tired but grateful eyes. "I don't even know how to thank you." "No need for thanks. The important thing is that you're all safe." He then handed her a steaming cup of tea. She took the cup with trembling hands, letting its warmth seep into her, while the rising steam brushed her face like a gentle embrace. The twins, now warm and full, finally drifted into sleep. Their tiny bodies relaxed as they lay nestled together. Hank watched them with a tender expression. "You're a good man, Hank. I was so afraid. I didn't think anyone would care. There's still kindness out there, even when it feels like it's lost. As long as I'm here, you'll be taken care of. Thank you for everything." Morning light began to seep through the window of his humble home, casting a gentle glow over the small room, signaling the start of a new day. As the warmth of the fire still radiated through the room, Vivian sat quietly in a nearby chair, watching the twins rest peacefully. Hank, noticing the tension in the young girl's expression, walked over gently and sat beside her. "Vivian, you're safe now. But I need to understand what happened. Why were you alone on the street with your brothers? Where is your mother?" Vivian bit her lip, trying hard to hold back tears. She was only a child, yet she had witnessed and endured things no adult should ever have to face. "My mother, her name is Sandra. She worked for a bad man named Lawrence. He was rich, powerful. Everyone was scared of him. He and my mother, they had an affair. And then what happened?" Vivian drew in a deep breath, readying herself to revisit painful memories. "Mom, she got pregnant with Gary and Sean. When she told Lawrence, he got really angry. He said he didn't want kids, didn't care about them, and he was too important to be bothered with all that. But Mom loved us. She wanted him to take responsibility and recognize the twins, even if it meant taking a risk. She told him he needed to be a father, that he had to help take care of us. But Lawrence got even angrier. He told her, if she didn't leave and stay silent, awful things would happen to all of us. He said he had the power to make anything happen." Her voice grew darker as she remembered the threats. Hank gently held her hand, giving her what comfort he could. "That must have been incredibly hard for your mother." Vivian nodded in response. Tears welled up in her eyes. Mom was terrified. She knew how dangerous he could be. So one night, She shook me awake and whispered, "Get the little ones. We need to leave. We have to get far away." Her voice cracked as she tried to explain, and her face streaked with tears. She promised to catch up with us, that she'd meet us later, but she never came. I waited, Hank. I waited. But she didn't come back, she admitted, her voice barely a whisper as she broke down. Hank's heart clenched, feeling the weight of her words. He could picture Sandra's desperation, the agony of making such a heartbreaking choice, sending her children off to protect them from a man as ruthless as Lawrence. "So you ran with your brothers to save their lives. You were incredibly brave." Vivian wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, pulling herself together. "I just want Mom to come back. I just want her to be safe. We'll find her, Vivian. I promise we'll look for her, and Lawrence will answer for everything he's done." As Vivian, exhausted, finally drifted to sleep, Hank sat beside the twins, his mind racing through his next steps. He knew he was stepping into a treacherous fight, but the lives of these 3 children, and Sandra's, depended on his courage. Lawrence's influence was formidable, but Hank was ready to face it. With Vivian's revelation lingering in his mind, he knew he had to act fast. He wasn't naive. He knew he couldn't take on someone as powerful and ruthless as Lawrence on his own. There was one person he could count on: Luke, an old friend and former cop who, despite leaving the force, was known for his unshakable integrity and commitment to justice. When he reached Luke's modest house, Luke opened the door with a surprised expression. "Hank, what are you doing here at this hour?" Hank hesitated briefly, but knew there was no time to lose. "Luke, I'm in trouble. I need your help. I found 3 kids, and they're in real danger because of stepfather." They spent hours talking through each detail, carefully crafting their next moves. "First, we need solid evidence. Without it, there's no case against Lawrence. I still have contacts in the police force. A few of them can be trusted, but we have to stay under the radar. One slip, and he'll know everything." Hank's mind was racing, processing everything at lightning speed. As he agreed, he knew this was the only real shot to keep Vivian, Gary, and Sean safe. "Finding Sandra, if we can locate her, she could testify against Lawrence and help shield them." Luke nodded, his resolve matching Hank's. "We need to figure out where she is, assuming Lawrence hasn't already stashed her away somewhere. At the same time, we've got to begin gathering evidence against him. Anything that can tie Lawrence to the threats he's made against Sandra and the kids." Luke laid a firm hand on Hank's shoulder before they parted. "Hank, I know you're doing this for the kids, but I need you to realize this isn't going to be easy. Lawrence won't back down. He'll go to any length to protect himself. You've got to be ready for whatever comes." "I understand, Luke. These kids deserve a life without fear. I won't let Lawrence ruin that for them." With a plan in place and fresh resolve, Hank returned home to Vivian and the twins. The path ahead looked daunting, but with Luke's support, he felt a renewed sense of hope. In the days that followed, Hank and Luke set to work, relentless in their mission to gather the evidence needed to take Lawrence down and keep Vivian, Gary, and Sean safe. On the night they planned to make their final move, Luke took the initiative to meet Hank before their scheduled time, instead of meeting at his house. "Did you bring it all?" "Yeah, it's all here." Hank handed him a thick folder filled with evidence. Luke took the file, flipping through it with a keen eye. "This should finally put an end to it." "Yes, it will." But there was something in Luke's tone that sent a cold shiver down Hank's spine. It was a tone devoid of the familiarity they'd once shared, and an instinctual chill gripped Hank. "Luke, what's going on?" Before he could react, he felt a hard blow to the back of his head. He staggered, falling to his knees. His vision blurred as pain pulsed through his skull, and as he struggled to regain his balance, he became aware of figures emerging from the shadows, hulking men with harsh, unfriendly expressions closing in around him. "Luke, what is this?" Luke moved closer, his face showing not a hint of guilt, but a look of cold calculation. "Sorry, Hank, but business is business." Hank tried to process what he was hearing, but the sharp sting of betrayal left him stunned. You You've been working with him all along? I did what needed to be done. Lawrence paid me well to make sure you didn't meddle. He knew everything from the start, every single move you made, Hank. You never stood a chance. The words struck Hank to his core, each one landing with crushing weight. I trusted you. Why, Luke? Why betray me like this? Because power and money speak louder. They always have. Lawrence's men seized Hank and dragged him to the far end of the factory. Take him to the usual spot. The boss wants a word before wrapping this up. Hank attempted to resist, but the enforcers quickly subdued him due to his still disoriented state from the blow and shock from the betrayal. The fear and pain gnawed at him, almost suffocating. Vivian, the twins, Sandra. His thoughts raced with dread over the promises he couldn't keep. As they dragged him out of the house, the heavy door slammed shut behind him, echoing like the end of all hope. Standing on the floor above, Vivian's stomach dropped. Luke had betrayed Hank. She knew she had to act, but what could a 10-year-old girl do in the face of such danger? Her eyes fell on Hank's phone lying on the ground, just a few steps from where Luke stood. She picked up the phone, the recording icon still active. Perhaps Hank had managed to turn it on. She knew this recording was her only hope, to save the people she loved. I have to save Hank. I have to save Mom. The night was cold, the damp air chilling her to the bone, but the heat of adrenaline kept her going, refusing to let her stop. Eventually, she reached the police station, her last hope. She threw open the doors, drenched and out of breath, stumbling into the quiet, brightly lit lobby. A few officers looked up in surprise as she burst in, her small frame shaking from exhaustion and fear. Please help. They've taken my friend. They're going to hurt Hank. One of the officers, an older man with a calm, gentle face, knelt beside her, putting a steadying hand on her shoulder. Calm down, sweetheart. Take a deep breath. Now tell me what happened. Who are these people? Vivian took a shaky breath, her voice quivering as she tried to explain. She recounted what she had seen, each word trembling but steady, her determination clear even in her fear. They're going to hurt him. Hank's phone recorded everything. He looked down at the device in his hand, his face tightening as he realized the gravity of the situation. You were very brave. The officers moved with intense precision, double-checking their equipment and going over each detail of the plan. Every second counts, and the tension was palpable. Vivian's recorded information, which had revealed Hank's location, became their primary advantage, and the beacon guiding their strategy. The entry was executed with flawless coordination. The two officers at the front burst through the doors, creating enough chaos to draw Lawrence's men into a frantic response. Meanwhile, the rest slipped in through the back, gliding through dimly lit corridors with swift, calculated movements. The mansion erupted with shouts and bursts of gunfire, creating an atmosphere of controlled chaos that rippled through the halls. Meanwhile, in the basement's cold, pitch-black room, Hank strained to hear the shouts and footsteps from above. The door burst open suddenly, flooding the small room with the harsh beam of flashlight after flashlight. The light temporarily blinded Hank, who squinted. Then he saw them, the uniforms of the officers who had come to rescue him. Hank, are you alive? I'm okay. The officers quickly cut the ropes from his wrists and helped him to his feet. His muscles screamed in protest, but he leaned gratefully on their support. Vivian was already waiting there, her heart heavy with fear and hope as she anticipated his arrival. As he walked through the door, relief flooded her face. She ran toward him, throwing her arms around him with all the strength she could muster. The tears she'd held back now freely fell. Hank held her close, feeling his own tears as they slid down his face. You saved my life, Vivian. You were incredible. The soft morning light filtered through the police station's windows, bathing the room in a warm glow. It seemed to melt away the lingering shadows of fear and uncertainty that had haunted Vivian, Hank, and the twins. The air, once tense and fraught, now held an undeniable sense of relief. Lawrence, Luke, and their accomplices were finally imprisoned, and his control over their lives came to an end. Justice, which had once seemed so out of reach, was now in sight. Word of Lawrence's arrest spread quickly through the town, and a wave of astonishment and relief swept through the community. Yet, even though Lawrence was gone, one question remained unresolved. What had happened to Sandra? During the rescue operation, the police had uncovered leads that suggested her possible location. Now, all they could do was wait, hearts clenched with anticipation. Each moment stretched endlessly as they hoped. After what felt like an endless wait, an officer finally entered the room. "We found Sandra. She was being kept on a remote property far from here, but she's safe. The doctors are with her now, and it looks like she'll make a full recovery." Tears welled up, and sounds of soft sobbing filled the room, as everyone breathed in the relief. "Mom, she's alive." Hank reached over, pulling her into a tight hug, his own eyes wet with tears he could no longer hold back. "I told you we'd find her." In the days that followed, their lives turned toward healing and recovery. Sandra was reunited with her children, though she was still weak and visibly shaken by what she had endured. The scene of her reunion with Vivian, Gary, and Sean moved everyone present. She gathered them in her arms, hugging each of them with every ounce of strength she had left, her tears of joy mingling with theirs. It was as though she was trying to make up for all the lost time in that one embrace. "I thought I'd never see you again. Mom, we're together now, and we're going to be okay." Everyone present was able to feel the warmth of her words. Love. Watching the reunion from a few steps away, Hank felt an immense weight lift from his shoulders. He had kept his promise to keep the children safe and to bring Sandra back to them. Would you be willing to help a child like Hank? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, give it a like and share it with others. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to hear more inspiring stories. Goodbye, and see you soon.